And for more analysis, we have from London, Dr. Marcus Papadopoulos, the expert of international relations and specialized in the Middle Eastern affairs. We'd like to welcome you with us. Now, there are endeavors to understand what is happening in southern Lebanon. Our guest, Marcel Bellucci, said a while ago that the Israeli plans most of the time revolve around not getting out of the south of Lebanon for long. We saw those scenes, incursions, evacuating places. How do you read those images and this scene? Is it a fleeting scene or redrawing the borders of the region?
Well, the war is inevitably escalating, and this is something that people who are familiar with the complex nature of the Middle East warned about time and time again would happen if the Americans and the Israelis attacked Iran. In regard to Lebanon, the Israelis are the beneficiary of the war against Iran. This is Israel's opportunity to achieve greater Israel. Greater Israel involves Israel conquering vast parts of the Middle East, starting with southern Lebanon. It was inevitable that Shia populations in the Middle East, such as in Lebanon and in Iraq and in Bahrain, would rise up in defense of their brothers and sisters in Iran. And as a result, Hezbollah in Lebanon is striking Israel. Israel, in response, knowing that Hezbollah would do this, is using it as a pretext to capture and absorb territory in Lebanon. The American goals for going to war with Iran are changing as each day goes past. And this demonstrates how the Trump administration is in very serious trouble. Trump, first of all, said that the reason for going to war with Iran was to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. Then it was to prevent Iran from attacking America and attacking American civilians. Then it was about bringing freedom to Iran. Now, according to Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State, Israel forced America's hand into going to war with Iran. This demonstrates how the Trump administration, how Trump himself, how America as a whole is completely and utterly beholden to Israel. And as a result, many American servicemen have died. More Americans have died so far than the official count by Washington.
Does it mean that this war is going to last as it is, and that this offensive is going to last whether against Iran or whether in Lebanon, in spite of the different aims between the US and Israel, or we can find ourselves at a division between them, midway, that the US withdraws and Israel continues in their objectives?
America is faced with a very, very dangerous situation, and the choice before it is this. Trump can either declare victory and stop America's war against Iran, or he can go down the pathway of escalation. The Americans are not able to defend the governments, the pro-Western governments of the Arab Gulf. Instead, they are choosing to defend Israel because America is beholden to Israel. Israel cannot, or the Israeli economy cannot maintain a war with Iran and now a war in Lebanon indefinitely. Iran, on the other hand, is in a very different situation. For nearly 40 years now, ever since the end of the Iraq-Iran war, the Iranians have prepared for this day war with America. The Iranians have developed a very powerful military. They have developed a very large, powerful and sophisticated missile force. And it is evident that the Americans have underestimated just how potent the Iranian missiles are. And clearly the Israelis have also underestimated Iranian military capabilities. Now, America is, of course, a military superpower, but even superpowers do not have infinite resources. The Americans are overstretched. The American military stockpile is already seriously depleted as a result of Ukraine because of all the American weapons which were sent to Ukraine. Now the Americans on a daily basis are using up even more of their stockpile in attacking Iran. So the question is, do Americans really want to continue this war? Whose interest is this war in? It is clearly not in the interests of the American people. It is clearly in the interests of Israel and also Trump, because Trump is beholden to the Israelis. And one final word. This American war against Iran must be seen in the light of the Epstein files, because clearly the Israelis are now exerting tremendous influence and blackmail over the American leadership in relation to the Epstein files.
If we wanted to analyze this and say that the targets of the United States of America are achieved, I mean most of them, don't you see that there can be economic objectives of Donald Trump behind this war? Maybe if he managed to put an end to the Iranian regime and to control the economy in the region.
Well, first of all, as we all know, war is a racket. The American military-industrial complex is, of course, going to make money. But the Americans need weaponry right here, right now, because they are using a vast amount as each day passes in their war with Iran. The idea that the Iranian government is going to be overthrown is ludicrous, unless, of course, the Americans launch a ground invasion of Iran. And as I have said for many years now, the Americans will not do that. If, of course, they were to do that, then the war would last years and thousands upon thousands of American soldiers would die. Because the Americans, if they launched a ground invasion of Iran to overthrow the Iranian government, would not just be confronted by a very large and powerful Iranian military, they would also be confronted by a very large and powerful Iranian paramilitary force. They would also be confronted by millions upon millions of ordinary Iranians, including women who would go to the front line to fight. Look what happened during the Iraq-Iran war. Vast numbers of the Iranian population in defense of Iran volunteered for the front line to fight against the Iraqi army, which invaded Iran. That is why I say that the Americans will not invade Iran. But the American people now have to make a decision. Do they want their country to be controlled by a foreign power, namely Israel? Because American military personnel are dying. The American Navy base in Bahrain is virtually destroyed. American aircraft have been falling out of the sky. Of course, the Americans have said they've been brought down by friendly fire. Well, that is highly suspicious. That is highly dubious. Again, the reality is that the Iranian military is a very large, powerful and formidable force. Iran is going to fight. The Iranian people will literally fight to the death. Do the American people want to fight to the death for Israel? I think not.
Thank you so much for all the analysis from London, Dr. Marcus Papadopoulos, the expert of international relations specialized in the Middle East. Thank you.